my presentation was done on learning styles. So first off, what is a learning style? Learning styles are methods that are used to process and store information. This is done through a variety of methods, but normally the most common ones are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. As of late, a fourth one has been added, which is reading and writing. Normally, those who prefer visual tend to prefer to see the information visualized, so on a paper, document, graphs. Auditories prefer the information to be said to them, so they prefer lectures. They will repeat the information to themselves. Kinesthetics prefer to be hands-on, so they prefer to have activities where they have to apply their knowledge. Now, for those who are reading and writing, they prefer to read the information and then write it down. Learning styles can be determined. You can normally find them by the student's behavior. So for instance, if a student sits in the front of the class and they take notes, but they don't want to interact with any of the activities, then they will probably be a visual learner. If they sit there and they don't take notes, then they would most likely auditory. Students who come up to the front of the class and prefer to be hands-on and do demonstration, those are kinesthetic learners. So there are many influences of learning styles. You have the gender, the grade, and the subject of interest. There have been studies between genders that have shown that males and females prefer certain types of learning styles. And the subject of interest can also influence how they learn. So for instance, if they prefer science, they would be more of kinesthetic learners rather than auditorial. As they get older, as they go on through school, students will start to understand their preference of learning styles. Normally it starts in elementary, and they will continue to grow and learn of their how to apply their learning styles to how they study and how they work in class. What should teachers do? So teachers should take account into what learning styles students have. This way they can plan lesson plans around the multiple learning styles within their classroom. This way students will be able to have a fuller understanding of the material rather than just having a lecture-based or hands-on based classroom. Students need to be encouraged to embrace their learning styles. It should start out in elementary school, and students should start being introduced to different types of learning. As they get older, they should go into metacognition, where they start to think about how they think. Recently, a new idea has came about called SAL, which is Student Approach to Learning. This is normally an approach where students would figure out how they study better after school, but they are trying to incorporate this into the school, into the classroom, so students can start to learn how to understand the material in their own ways. The research that I have found is just basics. It has been proven that our brains process information differently. Each person has a different brain process, and depending on how we process information will depend on what type of learning style we have. Rita Dunn did an experiment, and she took one group of students and she did not incorporate any learning styles, and then she took a second group and she incorporated each student's learning style into a lesson. it was shown that 75% of the students had a higher standard deviation that received their learning styles incorporated rather than those who did not. Now, of course, more research is always needed, but as of right now, what is standing is that learning styles are very important to having students fully understand the information. Through the observations in my class, I have seen learning styles incorporated into lessons. For example, I've observed two different literature classes, and in those literature classes, the teachers try to incorporate all of the learning styles. By doing this, the teachers are able to get the information across to all the students. And from what I have seen in the classrooms, the teachers who do this, the students are more likely to pass rather than fail. I have also seen it in a math class where the teacher did not incorporate all the learning styles. And in that class, the students struggled more, and a lot of them had a harder time than what they had in their literature class. And it was because of how the information was presented to them. My conclusion is that learning styles are very important and they should be included into lesson plans. They should be incorporated into classrooms and into school. Lesson plans are very important for students to fully understand the information and to be able to get the information across to all students. And with each student, there is going to be a different combination of learning styles. Some students might be visual and auditory, some might be visual and kinesthetic. With each student, it differs. So for a teacher, they need to learn how to equally incorporate each learning style into their lessons so all the students can understand what the material is. Thank you.